Welcome to another exciting episode of Know Your Health. I'm your host, Angel Mboya. With me in studio today is our nutritionist.
Lydia Kimani, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And today we are going to discuss about breastfeeding. What is breastfeeding? What is the importance of breastfeeding? And how does it help both the mother and child? And Lydia Kimani is going to help us understand that. And at the end of the show, we'll know the benefits of breastfeeding. Welcome.
Thank you.
So to start us off, maybe you can tell us what is breastfeeding?
Thank you very much. Breastfeeding is giving your child the human milk. You're giving that child that milk that comes from a human breast, and you can give that child through directly breastfeeding that child, or you can express your breast milk and give to the child. That's what we are calling breastfeeding. You're giving the child the milk that comes from a human breast.
So when you talk of breastfeeding, it simply means either breastfeeding directly from the breast or expressing it and giving it to the child.
Exactly. Whether you give the child directly, hold the baby to the breast, or you express that milk and give that to the child, that is breastfeeding, as long as it comes from the human breast.
Okay. And people talk of exclusive breastfeeding. What do they mean when you talk of exclusive breastfeeding?
Thank you very much. During the first 6 months of life, the child only requires the breast milk from the mother, the first 6 months of life. So when we are talking of exclusive breastfeeding, exclusive is just giving that child the breast milk only, without giving water, porridge, soups, or any other thing. You're only feeding that child day and night. You're only feeding the breast. Either you put the child to the breast during the day, during the night, or you put the breast, and sometimes when you are away, you express and leave the milk for that child for 6 months without giving anything else apart from maybe medication. Not giving food, not giving porridge, not giving soups, not giving sips of water, unless it's just medication. That's what we are calling exclusive breastfeeding.
And when you talk of exclusive breastfeeding, it means giving the child only breast milk. Then it means that it must be really important, very important for us to breastfeed. What is the importance of breastfeeding?
Exactly. Breastfeeding is very, very important. Number one, it saves lives. Research is showing that those children who are breastfed, they have high chances of survival. So they live longer. The issues of child mortality or children deaths are lower on those people who are doing exclusive breastfeeding than those who are doing mixed feeding. Number two, you find that breast milk, it has everything that a child needs. You don't have to go look for sugar, salt, some oil. It has everything you need that a child needs. It's a whole meal for that child. Yeah. So you don't need to go looking for anything else. And it's perfectly made for that baby. That breast milk does not require any preparation. So it's very ready. The temperatures are okay. You don't have to go warm it, especially when it comes from the breast directly. You don't have to go and buy it. It's not expensive. It's very cheap. It's not costly. And it helps the child grow and develop very well. It even, in fact, when you're breastfeeding a child, it helps to shape the face. When the child is suckling that breast, the facial development and the jaws, it comes out very well. There's so many benefits of breastfeeding. That child grows well, even develops well. The brain develops very well. And it also has some benefits to the mother. You find that when the mother puts that child to the breast, especially immediately after giving birth, it helps to expel the placenta very fast. You know, there are some women who, after they deliver, they have something called retained placenta, and it's very risky. In fact, even some women die. And some, they especially those who like delivering at home, and you are encouraging women to come and deliver in the hospitals, you find that some will just deliver, and then the placenta is left. By the time they rush to the hospital, and the mother just passes away. So when you put the child to the breast, it helps expel that placenta. And also, it helps those contractions. It helps to clean the uterus immediately the child is born, and this helps to prevent the ovarian cancer, for example, when you're breastfeeding, to the mother it has the benefits. It will prevent the mother from getting ovarian cancer and also breast cancer. And also breast milk, it helps with the bonding when the mother is just breastfeeding her child.
Yes.
That skin-to-skin contact, it makes them become very close. And the mother and the child, they bond, they become very great friends. So the benefits of breastfeeding, they are very many. Yes.
And then probably there are some women out there who would not breastfeed their children. So what is the consequence of not breastfeeding your child?
Yeah, just like we have said, the importance, the opposite in most cases happens. Number one, you're risking your health as a mother, getting the breast cancer, the ovarian cancer. So as you breastfeed, you reduce the risk. If you do not, you are risking your life. The other thing you're saying, the children's health. Breast milk has the immunity, especially the colostrum. That first milk that you give the child, the first day, it has antibodies that prevents against diseases. So the child will be prone to many diseases if you do not breastfeed. Unlike that child who is exclusively breastfed, although that the child who is depending on that breast milk. And economically, we find that those who do not breastfeed, they are ever looking for either flour to make the porridge for the baby, and you have to buy it probably. Maybe you go to buy the milk, you don't know the source of the milk. Some people are just giving the children the cow's milk. Yet that cow's milk was meant for the calf, not for the baby. So you find that some children, if they take the cow's milk when they're soya, they develop some allergies, some even diarrhea because of maybe the preparation method. So you find that there are other risk factors of not breastfeeding. And like in our country, only 32% of women used to do that breastfeeding, rightfully exclusive breastfeeding. But the study was done last year, 2014. It shows that most women are taking up the issues of breastfeeding. As we are talking at the moment, in every 100 women, at least 61 are doing exclusive breastfeeding. They are doing breastfeeding the way it's supposed to be done. And this means even if you look at the issues of infant mortality, it has also gone down, from 74 to 1,000 to 52 in every 1,000 children born, which means exclusive breastfeeding and other good practices of we normally call them malezi bora. When you're bringing up your child very well, it is reducing those chances of children deaths and also the issues of diseases.
And probably some women don't know, for how long are you supposed to breastfeed your child? From the time they are born to what age, and then they're supposed to exclusively breastfeed from what month to what month?
A very good question indeed, of how long and probably when to initiate breastfeeding.
Yeah.
You find that some women, after they deliver, they relax, they'll go for, you'll get a woman 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. Somebody has not initiated breastfeeding. Ideally, immediately the child is born, the child is supposed to be put on the mother's breast. So that as maybe the nurse or someone who is assisting that mother with the delivery, as that person continues to prepare the woman, maybe to remove the placenta and other preparations, birth procedures, the child will be put on the breast. So we are saying within half an hour or immediately the child is born, then the child be put on the breast. Immediately. It should not go beyond 30 minutes. Immediately, not take too long. And after that, that initiation of breastfeeding should continue, and the mother should do breastfeeding day and night, not just during the night, because most women will opt to, I understand some normally say, that they give other feeds during the day, like the porridge and the milk. And then at night, because they don't want to get tired, they want to sleep, so they put the child on the breast. But ideally, within the 6 months, the child should not only be put on the breast. If you cannot put the breast, express the milk, leave it, so that somebody else can feed. So you do exclusive for 6 months, and then after 6 months, now you need to do something we call complementary feeding. Complementary feeding means you're giving other foods, and you need to give a balanced diet, and continue breastfeeding the child. At 6 months, you don't now stop breastfeeding. You give other foods, but you continue breastfeeding. We normally say up to 2 years and beyond. That's the policy. And those children, they grow very well.
And then there are some women who breastfeed after 2 years. Is it okay to breastfeed after 2 years?
In fact, it's recommended. We say at least 2 years, but you can go beyond 2 years. You can even go 3-4 years, no problem. Yeah, the child continues growing healthy.
And the mother is able to produce milk after 2 years?
Yeah, you can produce even after you, even if today I'm not breastfeeding, and I put a child to the breast, I'm a mother. Even if I was not breastfeeding, hata kama nilikuwa nimekaa like 3 years, if I put that child on the breast, with the time the milk will just come out. So I still have milk. However, I would be having that, if you are breastfeeding at 2 years, and that one who has just delivered, you realize that that one who has a small baby probably may have more milk.
Talking of about expressing milk, how are women supposed to express that milk?
Thank you very much. Expressing breast milk is done in most cases when the woman maybe is away, maybe she has to go to work, she needs to leave milk for that child while she's away. Sometimes maybe her breasts are so engorged, or they're so full and painful that the child cannot be able to hold it's painful. So that time again a woman can express, ama kukamua maziwa, can express that milk. And again, when there's times when the children are premature and their jaws have not developed well, so they cannot suckle. Their suckling reflex is still weak, so they cannot suckle effectively to remove all the milk. And you know, for good milk production, you need to remove all the milk. The child needs to remove all the milk from one breast before she goes to the other. So for a premature child, the child is not able to suckle very well. So what happens, if she suckles very little, the milk production goes down. And instead of this premature child adding weight or growing, the child either loses weight. So in that case, a woman can express the breast milk so that she can feed that child with a cup and spoon. So the mother is supposed to can use the hands to express her milk gently. There is a way she can just use a warm cloth, massage the breast, hold it somehow, and then express it, and now can leave that milk. And that expressed milk, it can stay in room temperature for 8 hours without getting spoiled. Which means if the mother was to leave at 8 and come in the evening, the child will have enough milk while that mother is away. So she can express, and we advise once the milk is expressed while she's away, that the child should be fed using a cup and a spoon, not a bottle.
And apart from expressing it with your hand, is there any other way someone can express the milk?
Yes, you can use either your hands or you can buy a breast milk pump, and it also does very well. If you're able to buy one, you can purchase one, and then just put it on the breast, and then you just pump the milk to a cup. You cover it well, you leave it, and the child can continue breastfeeding while you're away.
So talking of women who go to work during the day and probably they express the milk in the morning, and then they leave it at home. For that person who's taking care of the child, is there a specific way they're supposed to feed this child using the expressed milk?
Yes, there is a way she's supposed to do, because once the milk is left, it will probably become cold. So the caretaker, or the one who is to feed the baby, is supposed to boil some water. I think I had a cup somewhere. I don't know whether I can demonstrate that at this point.
Yes.
We had our breast milk here. The mother was going to work, so she left some milk, maybe somewhere. So you need to have you boil the water, you can put it in a plate, and then this is the express breast milk. You don't boil it directly on a sufuria because it will kill most of the nutrients in that milk. So what you do, you just boil the water, put it in a container like a plate or a sufuria, and then you bring this express breast milk, you put it on top for some time. It gets some warmth, and then you take it and feed the baby. And we do not encourage the bottle feeding because if you do bottle feeding, that nipple of the bottle confuses the child when maybe during the day you have been bottle feeding and in the evening you're giving the child the breast. You see, with the bottle, it's like it gives a lot of milk. So the child will have it easier to have the milk from the bottle than when you bring your breast for the child to suckle again. So if you don't want to have that confusion of bottle feeding and breastfeeding, you just either you feed with a cup and spoon, you can just have the milk, and you do not pour it on the child's mouth. You just put it at the lips, and the child is supposed to suckle. The child has a suckling reflex. The child is supposed to just pull the milk and swallow it, not you pouring it. You can either use a spoon, or alternatively you can just hold the cup and you just hold it at the lips. The child should pull. You should not pour the milk onto the child. You should just pull. And the advantages of using a cup and spoon is that you're able to clean it very well, and there is the problems with the diarrhea are not there. Unlike the bottle that can leave some dirt in it and cause diarrhea to that child. So we advocate for a cup and a spoon, not bottle feeding.
Probably away from that a little bit, and after 6 months, and you're feeding the child, and probably you're giving them porridge or something else, and you've just talked of not pouring the food. You're supposed to let the child suck it. With other foods, is it okay are you supposed to do it like that, or you just pour it?
This one was for milk, and also even the porridge, even other soups, the child can just pull. However, for solid foods, of course, the child has to open the mouth and start now. You cannot pour the food. So, but I've been seeing women use that style of pouring. Some even hold the hand like this, pour and the child that's the poor method of feeding.
Actually, that is what I was thinking about.
Yeah, they call it some call it what? I don't know whether it's some say napiga mtoto geta anakataa kukula. So they have to, it's like we call it forceful feeding. You're forcing the child to feed, and you've put like 500 ml of porridge. A child's stomach only holds 200 ml. So once you feed the 200, this is this 240. So 200 ml could be up to here, and you see some people just put a whole cup. You feed the child. If the child does not finish, now you're forcing the child to finish. It's wrong. You're overfeeding that child. What you should do is just space or schedule the feeding times. You feed kidogo kidogo, not too much at the same time. And that method of feeding, that forceful feeding, and it's very common in Western. When I'm talking about Western Kenya, yes. It's very common. They say children refuse to eat, and it's very risky. I know of several children who have died because they get choked when you do that forceful feeding. Maybe sometimes that porridge will go to the trachea, and the child is choked, and the child just dies, which is not a good method. Feeding time for children should be fun time. A child is just like you. If you're forced to feed, or if that eating time is made so stressful, will you like it? No. Even a child, if you just force the child, every time it's feeding time, the child feels it's time for being stressed and scared.
They start crying.
So psychologically, the child is resistant to that food. But if you make feeding time a good time for that child. Even talk to the child. If you have a baby doll, you can bring it. Baby, take your milk. In fact, you'll find a child just, with time, the child will be looking for that food. And like that time when you're feeding the child will be refusing.
And probably there are some women, after birth, they lose the baby, and you find that there's that breast milk. What would you advise them to do?
Thank you. That is very unfortunate. However, it happens. Sometimes the mother just loses her baby. So in that case, the mother, if the milk is coming down, in fact, sometimes they can have that milk engorgement, the breast engorgement. The breast may get so full and painful. What the mother is supposed to do, supposed to take a warm cloth or a cloth, you dip it in some warm water, just sponge your breast, you express some milk, not all the milk. You express both the breast and still you feel they're soft. In this case, you won't express all the milk. You just express some milk so that your breasts are relaxed, and with time, the milk let down will just start dropping. There'll be no much milk coming out, and with time, the milk just dries. You express that milk, but not all the milk. Remember, when we are talking about expressing, we said it's important to maintain lactation, or it's important for the mother to express so that you continue having more milk coming out. So the opposite happens when you express just a little, the milk production goes low, and with time it just dries out. And this is what we tell women who lose their children, or a woman who might travel. Like for example, there is a woman who has a small kid, and maybe he has been called on assignment outside the country, and he is to leave this child. So if he has no plans of breastfeeding later, so that's what she can do. Just express a little and leave it, and with time it just dries out. Yes.
And talking of breastfeeding, some women breastfeed using one breast. They say that one is the one that has a lot of milk, and then they don't breastfeed using the other one. Or you can find that some children like to suckle one breast and they don't like the other one.
Yeah, that's a good question. That one breast has more milk. What happens if you get used to feeding on one breast? That breast is the one which will have more milk. So with the time you'll think that this breast has more milk, yet it's the way you have. Every time you're holding your child, you hold it on this breast. The child takes all the milk from that breast. And what happens? Once the breast has been drained, the brain prepares the breast to produce other milk. So what happens? Once you breastfeed the breast completely, another milk is being produced. So if you get used to that, so that milk, that breast will always have more milk. So you're supposed to breastfeed this breast this time, and next time, whether there is milk or not, breastfeed on the other breast. So that with the time, this also other breast will have more milk. And that case, some women even have one breast which is bigger than the other, because there is more milk being produced on this one in your mesoea. So you're supposed to breastfeed at one time, breastfeed this breast, and don't breastfeed for a short time here and then you move. Make sure that one breast is straight before you go to the other. So that if you breastfeed this time around this breast, next time you start with the other breast. And the children, again, they love that breast, and they know there is milk coming out faster. And even the breast is soft because you're breastfeeding. Just try to do to both so that you don't have problems with one breast.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you've had it. We'll go on a short break. Stay tuned.